Hello, sports fans. My name is Mark Mortier from Yesterday Sports. You're about to jump into another thrilling sports history moment. But first, let's dive into today's sponsor, just in time for the holiday season. Introducing Art of Words, the brainchild of word artist Dan Duffy from Philadelphia. Dan meticulously crafts stunning images by hand writing relevant words from some of the greatest sports moments in time. These unique, budget-friendly illustrations are the perfect gift, sparking cherished memories and capturing hearts. Choose from city skylines, sports, history, and musicians to find a piece for everyone. And here's the exciting part. For that sports fanatic in your life, gift them a piece of their favorite team or player's history. Art of Words tells a compelling story. Explore collegiate stadiums, each meticulously crafted with every football victory etched in words. Or venture into baseball stadiums, handwritten with every player from the team's illustrious history. Don't wait. Order a print today for yourself and your loved ones this holiday season. Transform your wall into a gallery of captivating art and surprise your family and friends with a print of their own. Use code SHN15 at artofwords.com for a 15% discount on your order in November and December. Visit Art of Words, where words magically transform into stunning art, evoking cherished memories and touching the hearts of those you care about. Again, use the code SHN15 for 15% off at artofwords.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's get right into it, shall we? Let's start off with the AL West. We're going to start off with the Houston Astros, your World Series champions from 2022. They would beat the Phillies 4-2 in the World Series. They swept the Yankees in the ALCS, and they swept the Mariners in the ALDS. They went 106-56. Their Pythagorean was 106-56. They scored 737 runs, only allowed 518. Their top three players was Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, Jose Altuve. Their top three pitchers were Justin Verlander, Framber Valdez, and Christian Javier. All right. Their projected lineup I have for going into this year. At catcher, we got Martin Maldonado. At first base, we're going to go with Jose Abreu. All right. Probably Yordan's going to play a little first as well. Probably play a little left. But second base is going to be Jose Altuve. Currently hurt, so David Hensley is going to fill in that spot. Shortstop, Jeremy Pena. Third base, Alex Bregman, of course. We got left field. We got starting out in left field is Michael Brantley. And center, it's Jake Myers. And in right, Kyle Tucker. And your DH is going to be Yordan Alvarez. Your starting pitchers. We're going to start off first with Framber Valdez. Number 2 is Christian Javier. 3, Lance McCullers Jr. 4 is Jose Urquidy. And 5 is going to be Luis Garcia. All right. Your closer is going to be Ryan Priestley. Your setup men is Hector Neris, Rafael Montero, Ryan Stanek. Middle relief, Phil Matten, Brian Abreu, Seth Martinez. And your long guys is going to be Hunter Brown, Forrest Wheatley, and Brian Blaylock. All right. Now, we did skip over the additions. Their key additions for this year was Jose Abreu and Rafael Montero. They did re-sign Michael Brantley. They did lose. Their notable losses for the year was Verlander, Yuli Gurriel, Aldamis Diaz, Trey Mancini, Christian Vasquez, Jason Castro, and Josh James. All right. Baseball Prospectus has them going 94.4 and 67.6. I'm saying they're gonna win about 90 games. They're going to be in a real tough battle in the AL West. I don't think they're going to run away with it like they did this year. I mean, I guess they didn't really run away with it since the Mariners were hot on their tails for some of the year, but I think it's going to be a three-headed race out there in the AL West, though. Next up, we have the Texas Rangers. They went 68-94 last year, finishing fourth place. Their Pythagorean was 77-85, so they were 9 games underneath that. They scored 707 runs and allowed 743. Your top three players are going to be Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, Adolis Garcia. Your top three pitchers, Martin Perez, Brock Burke, and John Gray. You're looking at key additions this year. They picked up Jacob deGrom, Nathan Eovaldi, Andrew Heaney. They re-signed Martin Perez, and they got Robbie Grossman as well. They did lose. They did end up losing Cole Calhoun, Matt Moore, Charlie Culberson, Nick Solak, Colby Allard, Dennis Santana, AJ Alexi, and Kohei Arihara as well. All right. Their projected starting lineups is going to be at your catcher, Jonah Heim. I mean, they got Mitch Garvey as well, but I think they last year they split time. Heim and Garvey split time behind the plate. Probably be a little bit more of that. First base, Nathaniel Lowe. Second base, Marcus Semien. Shortstop, Corey Seager. Third base, we're going to go Josh Jung. Out and left, we got Robbie Grossman. In center field, we got Leodo Tavares. In right field, Adolis Garcia. And our DH is going to be Brad Miller. I have Baseball Prospectus has them going 79.3 and 82.7. They did improve their pitching staff a little bit with deGrom and Eovaldi. They also got Heaney, so they did. I mean, that's three of their 4 starters right there. I guess let's get into the pitching staff real quick because we totally botched that up. Jeez. ADD's really kicking in today. All right, on your opening day starter is going to be Jacob deGrom. Number 2 is Nathan Eovaldi. 3, Martin Perez. 4, John Gray. Andrew Heaney is going to be your 5th starter. Your closer is Jose Clark. Your setup men are Jonathan Hernandez, Joe Barlow. In middle relief, Will Smith, John King, and Brett Martin. Long, we got Brock Burke, Taylor Hearn, and Zach Kent as well. So those are going to be your spot starters. Also probably a spot starter is going to be Glenn Otto and Spencer Howard as well. Again, Baseball Perspective has them going 79.3 and 82.7. Again, they did pick up their pitching staff a little bit. Did improve their starting pitcher. Still got a little better in the middle innings. But with that West having to play all those games against the West teams, I really think your Texas Rangers are going to probably win. I can see them getting at 500, 81 and 81. The Baseball Prospectus might be a little low, but yeah. So next up is your Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. All right. They underachieved last year. I had them getting to the ALCS. They obviously did not. They didn't make the playoffs, so that was one of the teams I missed out on the playoffs. But I did say that the only way they're making the playoffs is if they stay healthy, which they did not. Trout got hurt. You had Syndergaard on the hurt for a little bit. So, yeah. I mean, and then you also lost Anthony Rendon as well. So, and then they also fired Joe Madden 56 games into it as well. So, last year they went 73 and 89, finished in third place. Their Pythagorean was 76 and 86. They scored 623 runs. They allowed 668. Your top 3 players are going to be Ohtani, Trout, and Taylor Ward. For your pitchers, you got Ohtani again. He had almost a 10 WAR last year. Patrick Sandoval and Reed Detmers is rounding out your top 3 pitchers. All right. You have your key signings. You got Tyler Anderson, Brandon Drury, Carlos Estevez, Matt Moore, Brett Phillips, and Justin Garza. All right. And then your key losses are going to be Michael Lorenzen, Archie Bradley, Toki Toussaint, Matt Duffy, Kurt Suzuki, he retired, Oliver Ortega, and Rob Zastrizny as well. You're looking at an opening day lineup of at catcher, behind the plate, Max Stassi. At first base, we got Jared Walsh. At second, Brandon Drury. At shortstop, Gio Urshela. At third, we got Anthony Rendon. Out in left field, you're going to go with Taylor Ward. Out in center, of course, Mike Trout. And in right field, we got Hunter Renfroe. All right, your opening day starter is going to be Shohei Ohtani. Your number 2 is Patrick Sandoval. 3 is Tyler Anderson. 4 is Reed Detmer. And 5 is Jose Suarez. Your closers are going to be Ryan Tepera and Carlos Estevez. Maybe Jimmy Herget gets thrown in there as well. Your setup men are Aaron Lope and Jose Quijada. Your middle relief is Matt Moore, Justin Garza, and Jose Marte. Your long relief is going to be Jamie Barea and Griffin Canning. So, Baseball Prospectus has them going 85.9 and 76.1. Whew, that's oh man, I just don't know with this team. This is one team I'm not for sure about, just because it's all about health. That's the way it's been all year. If Ohtani, Rendon, and Trout all can all stay healthy this year, they'll have a good year. Shoot, I'm saying let's go 86. Let's go 86 wins. I think that's a possibility. Next up, we got the Oakland Athletics, the team that's pretty much just tanking, just to see if they can get moved. I believe they can't come to a consensus for a new stadium with the city of Oakland. They have traded away all their top players the last few years or let them go. Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, Sean Murphy this year, Cole Irvin, Frankie Montas. They had that 3-headed monster, a few years ago at pitching, and they all just went away. You still got Billy Beane as your president, though. Longest serving president in Major League Baseball. I think even longer than Brian Cashman. Oakland A's last year went 60 and 102, finished in 5th place. Their Pythagorean had them going 59 and 103. They had 568 runs scored, and they allowed 770. Their top 3 players were going to be Sean Murphy, Seth Brown, and Elvis Andrews. Your top 3 pitchers is Cole Irvin, Frankie Montas, and Paul Blackburn. All right. This offseason, what did they do? Well, they got Aldemus Diaz, Jace Peterson, Trevor May, Shintaro Fujinami, Jesus Aguilar, and Drew Rosinski. They did trade away Murphy. And as well, let's see, your notable losses, like I said, is going to be Murphy, Cole Irvin, AJ Puck, Joel Payampas, Stephen Vogt retired, and Chad Pinder. Baseball Prospectus has them going 74.8 and 97.2. Before we go that far, let's go with their lineup as well before we get into predictions. Catcher, Shea Langoliers. At first base, Jesus Aguilar. Second base, Tony Kemp. Shortstop, Nick Allen. Third base, Jace Peterson or Aldis Diaz. Your left fielder is going to be Connor Capel. Your center fielder is going to be Eustry Ruiz. Your right fielder is Ramon Laureano. Your DH is going to be Brett Roker. Your starting pitchers is going to be James Caprelon, Drew Rosinski, Shintaro Fujinami, Paul Blackburn, Ken Waldachek. All right, your closers is going to be Trevor May and Danny Jimenez. Your setup guys are Zach Jackson, Domingo Acevedo. Your middle relief guys is going to be Tyler Sear, Chad Smith, and Luis Medina. Your long starter is going to be Hogan Harris, J.P. Sears, Adrian Martinez. Like I said, Baseball Prospectus had them going 64.8 and 97.2. I don't think they reach that number. I definitely think they win 61 games this year is what I'm going with for a prediction, and finishing dead last. Next up, we have the Seattle Mariners. They went 90 and 72, surprised everybody in baseball how well they played last year. They got swept by the Astros in the ALDS. They did beat the Toronto Blue Jays in the Wild Card Series 2-0. Their Pythagorean had them going to 89 and 73, almost spot on, 1 game off. 690 runs scored, 623 runs allowed. Their top 3 players last year were Julio Rodriguez, Cal Riley, and Eugenio Sanchez. Your top 3 pitchers is going to be Logan Gilbert, Robbie Ray, and Eric Swanson. All right. Their key additions this year was A.J. Pollock, Trevor Gott, Tommy La Stella. They also acquired Teoscar Hernandez from the Blue Jays, and they also got Colton Wong as well. They lost Mitch Haniger, Matt Boyd, Adam Frazier, Carlos Santana, Kurt Casserly, Matt Koch, and Derek Hill. Their starting lineup is going to be behind the plate, Kyle Riley at first base. We got Ty France, of course, holding it down. Second base, Colton Wong. J.P. Crawford at short. We got Eugenio Suarez. I think I say Sanchez earlier. It's Suarez. Eugenio Suarez at third base. I think BaseballReference.com has that wrong. Or I wrote it down wrong. One of the two. Left field is A.J. Pollock. In center field, you got Julio Rodriguez. And in right, you got Teoscar Hernandez. And your DH is going to be Tommy. I'm ready up to bat at 3. Tommy 3 a.m. La Stella, as Joe Madden called him with the Cubs. Wow. Baseball Prospectus had him going 83.1 and 78.9. They're coming off a 91 season. They improved everywhere that they needed to improve. Second base. They improved at center field. Not center field, right field. Their pitching staff. So your day one starters is going to be Luis Castillo, Robbie Ray, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, and Marco Gonzalez. Your closer is Paul Sewald. Your setup man is Andres Munoz and Diego Castillo. Your middle relief guy, you're looking at Matt Brash, Trevor Gott, Penn Murphy. All right. Your long guys is Easton McGee, Bryce Miller, Emerson Hancock as well. Chris Flexen as well. And again, Baseball Prospectus have them going 83.1 and 78.9. Wow. I think that's pretty low after coming off a 91 season. I'm saying these guys win the West. They improve that record to 95 wins, and they win the last week against the Houston Astros to win the AL West for the year. So there's your AL West teams. Now let's move on to your NL East. Starting out, we got the New York Mets. They went 101 and 61 last year, finished in second place, but then lost to the San Diego Padres 2-1 in the World Wild Card Series. The Pythagorean was 99 and 63. They scored 772 runs and allowed 606. Their top 3 players were Jeff McNeil, Francisco Lindor, and Brandon Nimmo. Their top 3 pitchers is looking at Max Scherzer, Chris Bassett, and Edwin Diaz. All right. Their off-season acquisitions this year was Justin Verlander, Kodai Senga, Jose Quintana, Omar Narvaez, Adam Ottavino, David Robertson, Tommy Pham, and Danny Mendick. They did lose, though, Jacob deGrom, Tawan Walker, Chris Bassett, Seth Lugo, Trevor Williams, Tyler Naquin, Joey Rodriguez, Trevor May, Michael Givens, Dominic Smith, Chasen Shreve, and Yohan Lopez as well. So And then you're looking at a starting lineup of behind the plate, Omar Narvaez and Francisco Alvarez. I think they split time. Alvarez, probably not ready for everyday duties, but he will actually get a little bit more playing time. First place, of course, you have the polar bear, Pete Alonso. Second base, you got Jeff McNeil. Shortstop, Francisco Lindor. Third base, Eduardo Escobar. I don't know if he holds it down the entire year because Brett Batty, their prospect, is right behind on his heels. Left field, we got Mark Canha and Tommy Pham. Canha is probably going to start majority of the time. In center field, you got Brandon Nimmo. In right, you got Starlin Marte. And for your DH, you got Daniel Vogelbach. All he does is hit bombs as well. He's the right-handed version of Kyle Schwarber. By the way, both of them are former Cubs, just to give you a heads up on that. Your day one starter, Max Scherzer. Number 2 is Justin Verlander. Number 3 is Kodai Senga. Number 4, Carlos Carrasco. And 5 is David Peterson. You have your closer, David Robinson, and Adam Ottavino. Your middle relief is you're looking at Steven Nogosek. You got Bryce Montes de Oca, RJ Alvarez. Your long guys are going to be Tyler Miguel, Joey Lucchesi, and Jose Budo. Baseball Prospectus has them going 94 and 67. I think that's. I think that's, coming off 101 wins last year, there's going to be a little downside to it. So, yeah, that's about right. I would say about 95 wins for this team is what I would go with going forward. Next up, we have your 2022-2023 Atlanta Braves. All right, the Braves, they finished first place last year, 101 and 61. However, they lost in the NLDS to the Philadelphia Phillies, 3-1. Their Pythagorean was 162, 789 runs scored, 609 allowed. Their top 3 players were Austin Riley, Dansby Swanson, he gone, Michael Harris. Your top 3 pitchers was Max Fried, Spencer Wild Thing Strider, and Kyle Wright. They're in this offseason, they were able to get a hold of Jordan Luplow, all right, Nick Anderson, Jackson Stevenson. All right. They also acquired Sam Hilliard in a trade. They also got Colby Allard. They acquired Joe Jimenez. They acquired Sean Murphy as well in a 3-team deal. So, but they did lose Swanson, Duvall, Jansen, Robbie Grossman, Darren O'Day retired, Alex Dickerson, Silvino Bracho, Jay Jackson, William Woods, and Rylan Bannon. So, got a little turnover on this team. Is what you got going on. Your starting lineup is going to be Sean Murphy behind the dish. Your first baseman is going to be Matt Olson, of course. Ozzy Albies is going to be at second base. Your shortstop is going to be Orlando Garcia. Your third baseman is going to be Austin Riley. Out in left, we got Eddie Rosario. In center field, we got Michael Harris. And in right field, we got Ronald Acuna Jr. And then you got Marcel Ozuna as your DH. Like I said, there's some turnover on this team. Definitely not a 101 win squad. But they are going to roll out Max Fried, Charlie Morton, Spencer Wild Thing Strider, Kyle Wright, and Michael Soraka. So they got some young studs there and the pitching staff. Your closer is Raziel Iglesias. Your setup is Joe Jimenez and AJ Minter. Your middle relief is Colin McHugh, Lucas Ludige, and Kirby Yates. You're looking at long guys like Dylan Lee. You got Ian Anderson, Jared Schuster, Dylan Dodd. Yeah. Their pitching staff is going to be decent. It's going to be good. It's probably going to be It's going to be flashbacks of Steve Avery, John Smoltz, Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, and Kent Merker type goodness, I think. But I just don't think there's enough on the offensive side. I really think that this team's probably going to more like win about 88 games. Probably miss the playoffs this year. That's my prediction for your 2023 Atlanta Braves. Next up, we got your Philadelphia Phillies. They finished in third place in the East. I had them in the World Series, and they lost. I had them losing in the World Series as well last year. They lost to the Houston Astros. They did win the NLCS against the San Diego Padres. They did beat the Braves in the NLDS, and they beat the Cardinals in the Wild Card Series. And that was after they fired Joe Girardi after 51 games. Rob Thompson comes in, goes 65-46 the rest of the way. All right. Your Pythagorean record for your Philadelphia Phillies was 87-75, right on the money. 747 wins, 685 runs allowed. Your top three players was JT Realmuto, Rhys Hoskins, Bryce Harper. Your top three pitchers is Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, and Ranger Suarez. All three dudes are coming back. And then their key additions was Trey Turner, solidified shortstop. They're going to have to move little pieces around, but that's all right. Tawan Walker, Matt Strahan, Craig Kimbrell, and Josh Harrison also signed with these guys as well. All right. They also picked up Gregory Soto in a trade and Cody Clemens. A couple other big deal. However, they did lose Gene Segura, Eflin, Matt Verling, Matten, Sands. They lost Noah Syndergaard. David Robertson went to the Mets. Kyle Gibson, Brad Hand, Sam Conrad, Johan Camargo, Chris Davinsky, and Vinny Natoli all left. However, the big key signing for this team in the offseason was Trey Turner. So, your starting lineup is going to be behind the dish, JT Realmuto. At first base, we got Cody Clemens. Why do we have Cody Clemens playing first? What happened to Rhys Hoskins? Rhys Hoskins playing first. That's all there is to it. For some reason, he's not even on the depth chart here on their depth chart for some reason. Is he hurt? I don't know. All right. Anyways, we're going to go Rhys Hoskins. Or did he retire? That's the question of the day. Apparently, I didn't really do my due diligence on the Rhys Hoskins investigation. That's for sure. Nope. He's the first baseman. So, yeah, he's only 30 years old. Okay. Well, I don't know. Whatever. Baseball Prospectus, I guess, didn't really include him on their roster. So, all right. So, we're going to Rhys Hoskins at first, Bryson Stout at second. You got Trey Turner at short and Alec Boehm at third. Out and left, you got Schwarber. In center field, you got Brandon Marsh. And in right field, you got Nick Castellanos. And your DH is going to be Bryce Harper. All right. Your starting pitchers are going to be Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, Tawan Walker, Bailey Falter. Falter was a beast last year when he came up. Your closer is Sir Anthony Dominguez and Gregory Soto. And you also got Craig Kimbrell in there as well. I think Kimbrell's probably going to be more of a setup guy. Jose Alvarado as your setup guy. Andrew Battaglia as your setup guy. Your middle relievers are going to be Matt Strum, Nick Nelson, Luis Ortiz. Your long guys are going to be Michael Plasmeyer, Andrew Painter, and Christopher Sanchez. The Phillies are projected to go 88.6 and 73.4 by BaseballProspectus.com. I definitely think that's probably low. I'm saying they're going to win about 91, 92 games is what they're going to do. They definitely improved in the places that they need to, and Trey Turner is already looking like a beast after his WBC appearance. So, next up is your Miami Marlins. They went 69-93. last year, finishing in 4th place. Donnie Baseball is no longer their manager. He is now up in Toronto. Last year's Pythagorean had him going 70-92. 586 runs scored, 676 runs allowed. Their top 3 players were Miguel Rojas, John Birdie, and Jazz Chisholm Jr. Your top 3 pitchers was Sandy Alcantara, Pablo Lopez, he gone, and Jesus Luzardo. All right. Your acquisitions for this offseason was Gene Segura and Johnny Cueto. All right. They did acquire Luis Arraez from the Minnesota Twins, though, so that was a plus. They did acquire A.J. Puck. They did acquire Matt Barnes. So they added some more pieces and everything else to this team. They did sign Yuli Gurriel to a minor league contract, so that's a plus. Then they did lose Brian Anderson, Luis Diaz, and Nick Neidert. They lost Lopez, Rojas, Hernandez, Cole Sulcer, Luke Williams, Sean Gunther. They lost a lot of guys. But their starting lineup for this coming up year is going to be at catcher, Jacob Stallings. At first base, we got Garrett Cooper. At second base, Luis Arraez. At shortstop, you got Joey Wendell. At third base, you got Gene Segura. Out and left, we got Brian De La Cruz. In center field, we got Jazz Chisholm. In right field, you have Avisel Garcia as well. And as your DH, he's got Jorge Soler. I think Gurriel is probably going to get on the team once. And then you got your super utility player in John Birdie. So, what are they going to go with the pitching staff? Pitching staff is going with Sandy Alcantara, Johnny Cueto, Trevor Rogers, Jesus Luzardo, Edward Cabrera. You got your closer of Dylan Floro. You got your setup guys of A.J. Puck, Tanner Scott. You got your middle relief guys of Matt Barnes, JT Chargo. You got Andrew Nardi. You got your long guys of Sixto Sanchez, Brian Honing, and Yuri Perez. I really think Sixto Sanchez is probably could actually fill in for that 5th spot over Edward Cabrera. Baseball Prospectus has them going 79 and 82, 79.7 and 82.3. I'm saying they're a 500 team, 81-81. Write it up, set it down, put it together. All right, next up, we got the Washington Nationals. They went 55 and 107, lost the most games last year. Dave Martinez is still your manager. Heck of a guy. Pythagorean was 56 and 106. They scored 603 runs, but allowed 855. Your top 3 players is Juan Soto, he gone. Josh Bell, he gone. Victor Robles. Your top 3 pitchers is Erasmo Ramirez, Carl Edwards Jr., Hunter Harvey, Carl Edwards Jr., former Cub, 2016 world champion. Just saying. All right. Their notable signings is going to be Trevor Williams, Yamir Candelero, Corey Dickerson, Dominic Smith. Your notable losses are going to be Cesar Hernandez, Nelson Cruz, Luke Vogt, Joe Rosh, Eric Fetty, and Steve Cishek retired. All right. Your opening day lineup is going to be behind the plate. Kybert Ruiz. Your starting first base is Joni Meneses. At second base, you got Luis Garcia. At shortstop, you got C.J. Abrams. At third base, you're going to go Yamir Candelero. Out and left, we have Stone Garrett or Corey Dickerson. I'm going to go with Dickerson with the starter out there. In center field, you got Victor Robles. Out and right, you got Lane Thomas. And your DH is Jake Alou. Your starting pitchers is going to be Josiah Gray. Next, followed by that, Patrick Corbin, who had just a horrendous year last year. Had a 4.63 ERA. I mean, he was just horrendous last year. Mackenzie Gore, who they got in the Juan Soto trade. Trevor Williams and Chad Kuhl. Chad Kuhl had a bad year in Colorado, too. Jeez, this team is just... at some point, Steven Strasburg is probably going to be back as well. I mean, he's always hurt, it seems like. Your closer is going to be Kyle Finnegan. Your setup is Carl Edwards Jr. Your middle relief is Hunter Harvey, Erasmo Ramirez, and Mason Thompson. Your long guys is Paulo Espino, Corey Abbott, and again, and Yohan Adon as well. So, and Strasburg's going to be back. Baseball Prospectus have them going 61.5 and 101.5. Definitely think they'll only win 58 games this year. Another bad year. Next up, we go to the NL Central. And we're going to start off with the St. Louis Cardinals, the team that won the Central last year, going 93 and 69. Their Pythagorean had them going 95 and 67. They did score 702 runs and allowed 637. Your top three players is Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, and Tommy Edman. Your top three pitchers were Ryan Helsey, Miles McCollus, and Adam Wainwright. All right. Their pickups was Wilson Contreras, Guillermo Zuniga, and Jose Furman. The losses were Molina, retired, Pujols, retired, Corey Dickerson, and Jose Quintana as well. They did, like I said, they did lose to the Philadelphia Phillies in the wild card round, FYI, from last year. So, next, their starting lineup. Behind the dish is going to be Wilson Contreras. Man, I love that guy. But he's now a Cardinal, so the love has lessened. So, but he's always been a fun player. I love his little clap when he hits a dinger. It's freaking fun. You got first base Paul Goldschmidt. You got second base Brandon Donovan. You got shortstop Tommy Edman. You got third base Nolan Arenado. Out on the left, you got Tyler O'Neill. In center field, you have Dylan Carlson. And in right field, you got Jordan Walker. Or Lars Nootbaar. I really think, actually, you know what? I think we're going to change this up a bit. I think Lars Nootbaar starts in center, Jordan Walker's in right, and Juan Yepes is going to be your DH. But I think this is just going to be like a plug and play because you got Nolan Gorman, you got so many good guys with good bats on this team though. Your starting pitcher is Adam Wainwright. He is not your day one starter because he is currently injured. So they're going to roll out Miles McCollus as your day one starter. Jordan Montgomery is your starter number 2. Jack Flaherty 4. Steven Matz 5. Matthew Liberatore is going to be your 5th until Wainwright gets back. Your closer is Ryan Helsey. Your setups is Giovanni Gallegos and Henius Cabrera and Jordan Hicks. Your middle relief is Chris Stratton, Jake Woodford, and Jojo Romero. Your long guys is Andre Palante, Packy Naughton, and Palante had a really good July and August and then fell off the cliff in September. BaseballProspectus.com has them going 85.9 and 76.1. I think that's probably right on the money. I bet I'd say they win 86 games, yeah. So right on the money. 86 games for them. Next up is you have your favorite and mine team of all time. Favorite team in baseball. Yours and mine. The Chicago Cubs. I don't care if the Cubs aren't your favorite team anyways. If you're listening to this podcast, they're at least number 2 or 3 on your list because no one really hates the Cubs. I mean, they're the lovable losers for the longest time. So, and then it really turned into the Red Sox fans, where like the Red Sox fan win like 3 World Series and they just become like over the top type people. Yeah. So, and then you got the Yankees fan and Dodgers fans. I just don't get Dodgers fans at all. So, your 2022 Chicago Cubs. And I definitely, and you know what? I've grown on the White Sox. I grew up hating the White Sox, except for Frank Thomas, Robin Ventura, and Ozzie Guillen, and Joey Cora. I mean, their offense was pretty sweet. AJ Pierzynski for a while when they're, so I guess I've never really hated the White Sox, I guess. So, anyways, off that little tangent. The Cubs last year went 74 and 88, and they finished in 3rd place. David Ross is your manager again this year. It's always a fun time. Their Pythagorean had them going 73 and 89. They had 657 runs scored, and they gave up 731. Your top 3 players are Ian Happ, Nico Horner, and Wilson Contreras. He gone. Your top 3 pitchers is Marcus Stroman, Adrian Sampson, and Justin Steele. Nice little pitching staff we had going on last year once they all got developed and picked up. Now, this is the key right here. The signings for the Cubs this year. Dansby Swanson, Jameson Tallahan, Cody Bellinger, Trey Mancini, Tucker Barnhart, Michael Fulmer, Brad Boxberger, Edwin Rios, Eric Hosmer. The Cubs spent $310 million this offseason. So for all you Cubs fans out there that saying they're not spending money, you just have, there you go. They spent $310 million this offseason on players. All right. They did lose Contreras, Rafael Ortega, Alfonso Rivas, PG Higgins, who's now playing over in Japan, Franmil Reyes, Jason Hayward, who's now with the Dodgers, Wade Miley, and Michael Hermosillo as well. Oh my God, this team is going to be so amazing. I can't wait. Opening day's right around the corner. Cubs baseball, it's going to be wonderful. Tucker Barnhart, Yan Gomez is going to be your catchers. Most likely Barnhart's your starter. Gomez is going to be your DH. You're at first base. We got Hosmer. He might Edwin Rios might supplant him at some point or at some times because Rios didn't make the open day lineup. At second base, of course, you got Nico Horner moving over from short, all because of this guy right here, Dansby Swanson, now the starting shortstop of the Chicago Cubs. At third base, you got Patrick Wisdom. Dude's going to hit 27, 30 bombs this year, just saying. Out in left field, you got Ian Happ. Another guy's going to have 25 home runs. Out in center, you got Cody Bellinger. Oh, my God. I'm in love. Just in love with this team. Belly bombs all summer long. That's how it's going to be. Belly's going to hit 30 to 35 dingers this year, baby. Out in right field, you got Seiya Suzuki. However, he's hurt a little bit, so there's probably going to be a plug and play out in right field with Christopher Morel out there. Ian Happ probably move over to play right field sometimes, so that we can have Bodie play left. Just going to be a little bit about that. They got Matt Mervis on the depth chart here on baseballprospectus.com. I don't think Mervis is the DH. Like I said, it's going to be Yan Gomez, Trey Mancini is going to be your DHers. By the way, if I haven't said this enough, I really love the fact that we have a DH in both leagues. Just absolutely love it. It probably was the best baseball decision ever made. Because I never understood why we had to have pitchers bat in the first place. It made no sense to me. All it was an easy out. You had 8 batters, and that was it. I always thought the DH should have been in the NL from 1970 whatever till all the way up 2021 or 2020 when they put it in. Okay, your day one starter is going to be Marcus Stroman. Again, I love Stroman. Jameson Tallahan is going to be your day 2 starter. Justin Steele, Drew Smiley, and Hayden Wesninski. I do think they put in Sampson at some point as well to pitch as well. Your closer is going to be Boxenberger and Michael Fulmer. A little 2-headed monster there. You throw in Rowan Wick, you got a 3-headed monster. Watch out, boys and girls. That back into that bullpen is going to be nice. Super nice, let me tell you. You got your middle relief is Mark Leiter Jr. Nasty. You got Cody Hewer. Nasty. You got Jeremiah Estrada, just nasty. Michael Rucker, nasty. Your long guys looking at Keegan Thompson, Adrian Sampson, Caleb Killian, Adbert Alzolay, nasty. And the last member of the 2016 World Series Championship is Kyle Hendricks. Hendricks is currently hurt. There's no timetable for his return. However, I do think he gets moved at some point in the year. Due to the his hurtness and everything else. Baseball Prospectus has him going 76 and 86. I got this team winning 88 games. That's all there is to it. Next up, you got the Milwaukee Brewers. You're looking at the They went 86 and 76 last year. Their Pythagorean had them going 85 and 77. They scored 725 runs. They allowed 688. Their top three players were Willie Adames, Luis Urias, Colton Wong. He gone. Top three pitchers, Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, and Devin Williams. Their key signings was Wade Miley, drove 90 miles north. Brian Anderson, Justin Wilson, Blake Perkins. All right. They also acquired William Contreras as well. Their losses was Renfroe, Wong, Taylor Rogers, McCutchen, Omar Narvaez, Jace Peterson, Brent Suter, Brad Boxberger, Trevor Rosenthal, Yuturi Ruiz, Pedro Servino, Trevor Gott, Yandel Gustava, Pablo Reyes, Justin Topa, Jonathan Davis, Trevor Kelly, Luis Perdomo, Mario Feliciano, and Miguel Sanchez. Do they have a team left after this offseason? Holy cow, boys and girls. The Milwaukee Brewers lost a lot of people. Your starting lineup is looking at William Contreras and Victor Carantini. Contreras behind the dish. Carantini is probably going to be your DH as well. A little bit of time in there. At first base, you got Rowdy Tellez. Second base, you got Abraham Toro. At shortstop, you got Willie Adames. At third base, Luis Urias. In left field, we have Christian Yelich. In center, we got Sal Frelick. And then out in right, you have Tyrone Taylor as well. And then your DH is Justin Winker, Victor Carantini, Brian Anderson. Your day one starter is Corbin Burns. Day two is Brandon Woodruff, Eric Lauer, Freddie Peralta, Wade Miley. Your closer is Devin Williams. Nasty guy. You got Matt Bush, Hobie Milner. Your middle relievers, Jake Cousins, Javi Guerrero, Jason Junk. Then you got your long guys of Bryce Wilson, Aaron Ashby, Adrian Hauser. Both those guys did good as spot starts last year. Baseball Perspectives really loves this Brewers team. I do not. And I think they go 82 and 80, 81, 81. So there you have your Milwaukee Brewers. Next up is your Pittsburgh Steelers. Really think that they should bring back the Bumblebee uniforms. They went 62 and 100 last year. Their Pythagorean was 58 and 104. They had 591 runs scored, 817 runs allowed. Your top three is Ke'Bryan Hayes, Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz. Your top three pitchers were Mitch Keller, Iowa boy, Jose Quintana, he gone, Chase DeYoung as well. Their key signings was Rich Hill. Jeez, he's still playing. Carlos Santana, Andrew McCutchen is back. Austin Hedges, Vince Velasquez, and Yarlin Garcia. They lost Roberto Perez, Ben Gamel. They lost Junior Fernandez, Nick Mears, Blake Sobel. All right. Your opening day lineup is going to look like this. Austin Hedges behind the plate. At first base, Ji-Min Cho. Oh, yeah, they signed up. They got Ji-Min Cho this year as well. Second base is going to be Nick Gonzalez. Shortstop, O'Neal Cruz. Third base, Ke'Bryan Hayes. Left field, McCutchen. Center field, Brian Reynolds until he gets traded. And out and right, you got Jack Swazinski. Then you got Miguel Handahar as your DH. Your day one starter is going to be Mitch Keller. Day two is JT Brubacher. Ronis Contreras, Vince Velasquez, Rich Hill. It runs out your starting five. Your closers, David Bednar. Probably one of the best closers in the game, just on the wrong team. Your setup guys are Will Crow and Jason DeYoung. You got middle relief guys of Dwayne Underwood Jr., Colin Holderman, and Yohan Ramirez. And you got long guys of Johan Avito and Luis Ortiz. The Pirates, 71.9 and 90.1. According to Baseball Prospectus, not going there. They're going to be a 68-win team season is what they're going to be. Next up, you got the Cincinnati Reds. All right. And they went 62 and 100 last year. Their Pythagorean was 64 and 98. They had 648 runs scored, 815 runs allowed. Your top three players are Brandon Drury, Tyler Stevenson, Orestes Aquino. Your top three pitchers is Luis Castillo, Alexis Diaz, and Nick Lodolo. They did pick up Will Myers, Kirk Castley, Luke Weaver, and Luke Mail. They did lose, though. Kyle Farmer. And they also lost Donovan Solano, Mike Moustakas, Arestas Aquino, Jeff Hoffman, Art Warren, Kyle Dowdy, and Justin Wilson. So, yeah. Your starting lineup is looking like this. Casale or Tyler Stevenson behind the dish. You got Joey Votto, of course, holding her down at first base. Second base, Jonathan India. Shortstop, Kevin Newman. Over there at third base, you got Ellie Dela Cruz. Out on left, you got TJ Friedel. Out in center field, you got Nick Senzel. And over and right, you got Jake Fraley. And for your DH, you're looking at, probably Casale, Stevenson, Mel, one of those guys. Your starting five is Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, Graham Ashcroft, Luis Cessa, Luke Weaver. Your closer is Alexis Diaz. Your setup guys are Lucas Sims, Tony Santillan. Your middle relievers is Buck Farmer, Fernando Cruz, Alex Young. Your long guys is Revere San Martin, Connor Overton, and Levi Stout. Baseball Prospectus have them going 69.3 and 92.7. Apparently they love this team more than I do because they're barely going to win 62 games. It's going to be a struggle to get to 62 games. All right, well, that is the AL West, NL East, and NL Central. So, you're going to have to tune back in for the next part for the NL West and our playoff predictions. And our World Series winner is all right here on One Guy with a Mic. So come back and join me in 3.3 seconds as you load it back up. Let's go. Part 3 coming up.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, a.k.a. the Football History Dude, and I wanted to thank you for stopping by to listen to another episode here on the Sports History Network. Our podcasters are passionate about uncovering and sharing sports stories from yesteryear. And if you didn't know it already, we have over 30 shows across the network covering all sorts of sports history topics. In fact, here's a glimpse into one of our awesome podcasts here on the network.
The Pigskin Tales podcast is all about the lesser-known pro football players. Yes, there are stories about the ones we know, like Brad Tarkenton and Harold Red Grange. But have you ever heard of Ernie Nevers? How about Dave Osborne or even Grady Alderman? These men created their own path to the NFL. How did they do it? Listen to the Pigskin Tales podcast, now streaming on your favorite music platform. Go to pigskintales.com.
How about that? I bet you're super hyped to go listen to that new podcast, right? Well, to learn about this show and all the other podcasts on the network, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com/podcast. Again, that's sportshistorynetwork.com/podcast. Head over there today to find your next favorite sports history podcast.